been a while, I know, but now I'm back and 100% in. And I'm bringing some spoilers here. It's finally time, guys. I'm doing a game using my own game engine. Well, I've been making this for years now, and now it's finally time to put something together and explore the game engine itself with everything that it's capable of. But in order to do this game, I decided to do some changes and make sure that this game engine is as optimal as I want to in order to start making my games, and that's actually all about this video. This is the first part of like a lot of parts maybe of me doing the changes that I need to. So I do have here the content browser, it's still work in progress. I've added an input tab because some people had a hard time trying to run the game engine, so this will help me debugging. But let me jump to something very useful here. I'm here with a new project, and something very common when it comes to video game development is, let's say that you are creating a game and you have a player. Okay, so you make a player and then you put this player into a scene, and then you want to add some enemies, so you create an enemy in the scene and then you create a bunch of copies of the same enemy in that same scene because you want to populate the scene with some challenges for the player. Okay, that's okay, but now we have a little bit of a problem. Well, let's say that you want to change something in this enemy, but you already have a bunch of copies of this enemy across the map, so we're gonna have to change one and then change other and other and other until you change all the enemies, or you can delete all the enemies and add it again. Or even worse, let's say that you want to create multiple levels because, well, it's a game, and you create a new scene and add another player and another enemies, and you kept doing that for a while. Well, in the end, we're gonna have a bunch of copies of the same thing, and if you want to change anything in the player, in the enemy, or in any other mechanic that are common between the scenes, you're gonna have a hard time trying to do this. That's exactly why most game engines offer you a solution for that. Unity does have the prefabs, Unreal Engine does have the blueprints, Blender does have the groups and all the collections, and all game engines do have a different approach for that. And of course, I need to do something about it as well, and that's exactly what I've been working on. The game engine do have something that I call entity template, which is this green stuff here in the left that I cannot modify, and this is basically an entity structure built around a base structure. Well, I'm gonna explain you in a second, but I do have here two template instances, and I cannot select any of these child meshes, these child entities. And if I want to change this, well, we can consider this an enemy, a player, or something like that. I'm gonna have to edit the template itself. And now it's very easy because I do have here in the bottom in the asset browser a template, and if I double click it, well, I can edit. So let's say that I want to change this from a cube to a sphere. So let me search for a sphere here. Here we go, and this one I will delete. And let me create a new copy of this sphere, actually two copies of this sphere. Okay, so now if I go back to my scene, I do have all these changes applied to this object, and of course I can create new ones. So if I right click and create new asset, I can select an entity template. I can now define a name for it, let's say enemy. Here we go, and if I double click it again, I'll be able to edit this. If I press Shift A and add a mesh, I'm gonna have this default cube, and that's gonna be probably enough to start doing some stuff. Let me go to the components and reset the position so it goes to the center of the world, which is basically the center of my entity template. And if I go back to my scene and drag and drop this new entity to the scene, you can see that it automatically gets created, which is pretty cool. But let's do something a little bit more interesting with this cube, because I don't want to have a cube. So I do have a mesh here. I have the guy mesh. So if I go to the components, I can drag and drop the guy mesh to this mesh. So now I have this guy mesh. I'm probably gonna have the guy material, and now something very fun. I did implement drag and drop of materials and textures, so if I want to add this material to this guy, I can double click it, of course, but I can now drag and drop it to the viewport, and it's gonna attach this automatically. It does not work with armature, but I may add this, which is like probably a great idea. Let me make this guy idle. Well, it's a huge guy. Let me actually make it smaller. Here we go. Now I kind of have like a character in my game, in my scene. So if I go back here to the main scene, you can see that this character automatically got updated. And if I add stuff, if I add logic or anything to this entity template, this character will get updated as well. And of course I can drag and drop as many templates as I want to my scene, as you are seeing here. And if I want to, I can go to another scene, well, this is another scene, and drag and drop my templates. And I can do this with the testing templates. And everything will gonna work just fine. If I go back here, and if I hit play, you can see that I can play and see everything working. There's no animations because I've removed the code that was doing that. This is like a developer's save files. I don't know how to call this. But you can clearly see here that everything is working just fine. And this is like a huge step up in this game engine because, well, now I'm gonna be so fun to create stuff. Like I can right click and create an enemy, and then I can double click the enemy and start working on it. Like the lightning in this test scenes are a bit weird right now, but I'm working on that. In the end, this like editor scenes are gonna be like as good as it can be, and I'm doing some small tweaks, but all the logics is working just fine, which is like pretty cool. This is the first thing that was bothering me a lot in the game in the game engine, and now with that done, it's way better to do this. Something that you guys may already have noticed is that I do have the thumbnail colors here, and this is inspired by Unreal Engine. I'm not gonna lie. So if you see here, all the scenes do have like a blue color here in the bottom, and the entity templates do have a green color, and this is also for the same for the mesh. They do have a gray thing, and the reason why I've added this is it was becoming very hard to differentiate all the thumbnails, like what is a scene, what is a template, what is a mesh, what is a material. It gets even harder, like with this decal here, it's a material, and if I go here inside this folder, you can see that I do have a default material and a default sphere, which is like a sphere, and they both looks the same, like what is a material, what is a mesh. Now you know, because the mesh do have this gray stuff. And this code is modular, so I can add any sort of colors I want to any type of asset, but for now I will keep this simple with only like the really needed ones. And beside that, I've been doing some smaller changes. For example, when you edit a template, you can see that you do have this merger across the viewport, and you do not have the play game button, because like it was very problematic to play the game in this mode, so that's why I've removed it. So now if you go to the play game, to any scene, you can play the game just fine. But well, that's basically it for this video. I've been working on this component for a while, and in the past 4 months, just like a quick note here, I was working in the industry doing a port of a PC game to Xbox, and that's why I was kind of like away here. I was not having a lot of time to work in the game engine, and I did some work. For example, the logic bricks, it's 50% done, except that it's not working, so I do have like not implemented here. But spoilers, like this cube here does have a logic bricks component with these logic bricks, and even though it's not implemented, it actually is. So you can see that this cube here is kind of rotating, and this rotation is basically visual scripting, except that I do not have the visual scripting. But I was working on that. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to finish it as fast as I wanted to, but yes, I've been working on many small things. And the next stuff that I'm going to do, and probably in the next video, I'm not sure, is the new UI, because like the way I was doing UI, and I'm talking about the in-game UI, I'm not talking about the editor UI. I'm happy with the editor's UI, but the in-game UI, the way you do this right now, it's a little bit weird. Like you need to right click here, then you add an interface UI element, so you have this on top, which is great, I guess, but not great at the same time. It's a little bit weird and sketchy. I do have like a text. Let me try. So here we go. I have a text here. So subscribe. Here we go. But I don't like anymore the fact that this is like an entity in the scene. This is very Unity-like, and honestly, I don't like this. I really don't like. So the usability of the UI, you're probably gonna keep the same, like the way you edit it and the settings here, but it's not gonna be a new element, okay? So that's kind of what I've been thinking about. So guys, that's basically it. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Let's try to hit 10,000 subscribers. I really wanted to do that in 2021. It was not possible, but I'm very happy with the community that we have here. But let's try to hit this year 10,000 subscribers, which is pretty cool. We're gonna be very interesting. So thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video.